Sweden's Riksbank was founded in 1668. It is the world's oldest central bank. Even though Sweden is not a large country, the Riksbank is an international reference point in the evolution of central banking, given its unique historical continuity. What is a central bank, and what does it do? Economic historian Stefano Ugolini argues that the answer is not straightforward. Today, organizations labeled as central banks are not all alike, and do quite different things. It gets even more complicated as we go backwards in time. Many of today's central banks did not look like central banks when first created. Other organizations that first appeared to behave like central banks never evolved into proper central banks. Why do central banks matter to you? Simple. Central banking decisions directly impact the value of your money and investments. We'll start our account of the Riksbank, the world's first central bank, with the context in which it was created. In the reign of King Gustavus Adolphus, Sweden seized territories from Russia, Poland, and Lithuania in multiple wars. In the 30 Years' War, Sweden then conquered approximately half of the Holy Roman States. Sweden became a major force and the third largest country in Europe. It reached its largest territorial extent under Carl Gustaf in 1658. But how did the Swedes finance their military operations over decades? In 2018, the Riksbank celebrated its 350th anniversary and published an official history. It started in 1656, as King Carl Gustaf gave entrepreneur Johan Palmstruch permission to start Sweden's first bank, Stockholms Banco. Sweden's military employed many foreign mercenaries, who demanded payment in acceptable coins. As Sweden conquered land around the Baltics, it was not certain that Swedish coins would be accepted. King Carl Gustaf thus mandated that the Banco safeguard the value of money. Stockholms Banco quickly became popular in the context of bimetallism. In Sweden, copper coins and silver coins coexisted. But silver was worth many times more than copper, and large plates of copper were needed to correspond to one small silver coin. The largest copper coins weighed almost 20 kilos. At Stockholms Banco, merchants could hand over their cumbersome copper plates and receive a deposit certificate. This led to Europe's first banknotes and Sweden's first financial crisis. In 1660, Sweden minted coins with less metal. Savvy depositors demanded their old, heavier coins back. The consequence was a bank run on Stockholms Banco. To remedy this, Palmstruch issued deposit certificates without depositors handing in any coins. These were called credit notes and could be used to buy anything. Sadly, Palmstruch was apparently not familiar with the Chinese experience with paper money, which we studied earlier here. The Banco printed more and more unbacked notes. In 1663, the Crown took out large loans in Banco notes. Citizens were suspicious and demanded to redeem banknotes for coins. In 1663, Banco could no longer honor convertibility. This was Sweden's first financial crisis. According to historian Christopher Pill, the Banco crashed due to a bank run in 1664. This led to severe disruptions in the monetary system and credit markets, as interest rates leaped from 6 to 50%. And so was born the world's first central bank. In 1668, the Swedish parliament established a new bank from the ruins of the Banco that just collapsed. But the principles would not be the Swedish crown, it would be the nobles who controlled parliament. The Riksbank was then established as the world's first central bank. The issuance of banknotes was at first prohibited. The recent Stockholms Banco fiasco was vowed not to be repeated. The Riksbank mandate was clear: price stability. According to historian Edvinson and co-authors, the Riksbank vowed convertibility of its deposits and notes into metal, and later into foreign currency. Its 1668 charter stated that one purpose of the bank is to uphold the value of domestic coins. A related mandate was the stability of the financial system. The careful viewer will remember that the Riksbank was created with the nobles as principals, not the king. Did next kings attempt to strike back? Yes, autocratic kings did make several attempts to finance their wars whilst bypassing the Riksbank. In 1709, Karl XII simply issued monetary instruments of different types: coin substitutes, bonds, coin notes, and pay notes. Unsurprisingly, inflation soared. The state was at the brink of bankruptcy. After the king's death, the government decided in 1719 that coin substitutes would be retired at half of their face value. In 1788, King Gustav III declared war on Russia. Money was an issue. Gustav III, who had promised to respect Riksbank, simply created a new national debt office with the task of war borrowing. The debt office issued bonds, which circulated as banknotes. Sweden now had two currencies. Gustav III then passed a law. Loans should be repaid with his new unbacked bonds, which were worth much less, in essence expropriating lenders. One such lender was Johan Ankerström, who then murdered the king. As Sweden industrialized in the 1800s, the Riksbank modernized. It adopted the silver standard in 1834, and later the gold standard, backing the issuance of banknotes in the national currency, the krona. In 1897, the Riksbank Act turned it into a modern central bank with the monopoly of currency issue. Swedish kings would no longer be allowed to bypass the Riksbank. Monopoly of issue was clearly in line with the Riksbank mandate of price stability. But how about other central banks? Historian Rodney Edvinson and colleagues note that the motivations behind the creation of central banks after the Swedish example varied quite a bit. As this table shows, motivations included the need to finance war, a response to crises elsewhere, the desire to modernize and industrialize, and the need to support political unification. This wide range of motives is in line with Ugolini's point noted earlier. The verified sources we base this video on are here. We encourage you to tell us if your interpretation of these sources is different, or if you'd like to suggest additional verified sources. What do these tell us altogether? The story behind Riksbank can be summarized as an institution that evolved over centuries to prevent kings from expropriating the Swedish people. Is this danger still serious today around the world? Yes. The risk of heads of government expropriating their peoples is alive and well today, all around the world. To what extent is central bank independence correlated with high inflation? As these three different meta-analyses show, the more independent the central bank, the lower the inflation. The message to you, individual investor, is simple. Beware of politicians that complain about their central banks. When they do manage to influence central banks, you pay the price, higher inflation. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more financial history from verified sources, subscribe to our channel and join our community of individual investors who strive to learn from the misfortunes of others to avoid similar fates.